All right, man. Sitting down with my guy Chad Wilson, man, who look like he's gonna be my guy co-host. You know, I've been on here so many times, man. We finna get into some prime. Ask a couple of questions, man. We just been sit down and shoot this bro. Let's get this thing going, man. Talk about the hype train Dion started, bro. Speaking of hype, shit. Deion Sanders' first year, man. Over under 5 wins. What you think?
I'm gonna have to go under. I love what he's doing in Colorado, but if we're being realistic, you're starting off with TCU. You have Nebraska after that.
Yeah.
I think Colorado State's in there. That's a game I think you can win, and then you're into a Pac-12 schedule that's going to include UCLA and USC, Utah, Arizona State. Those are going to be tough games to win as a first-year head coach.
Yeah.
Especially when you're coming into a program that doesn't even know mentally how to win yet.
Right.
So I think the early going is going to be really, really tough. Maybe we see some progress towards the end, and then the progress might not come in the form of wins. You're just going to see better play, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're coming in with hype, too. Those teams are going to be extra fired up to play you. I'm going under.
You going under 5?
Under, man. I think if he gets to 3, I think if he gets 3 or 4, that's going to be a great year. That's going to be a good start. You don't want to come in there and be 7-5 the first year, because then there's going to be crazy expectations after that. But with the schedule they have, I just think about some of those names I threw out there. USC and UCLA are going to be really good this year. Utah is always tough. TCU just played in a championship game. That's 4 L's right there. You know what I mean? So it's going to be tough to get 5 wins, I think.
The last 3 years, Colorado has won 9 games. I think they won 4 games, and then last year they won 1 game.
Over 3 years? 4?
Yeah.
Well, see, man, you hit that average, you're good. You get to 4, you above average. So, with all the hype, I think just the common fan is going to be like, oh, he only won 4 games. They might give him, hell. But I think if you win 3 or 4 games, that's going to be a successful season.
Yeah.
In your first year at Colorado, if you're Deion Sanders. Yeah, for sure.
The last 23 years, they've only had like 2 double-digit winning seasons. I mean, the program.
That's amazing.
It is. I mean, because we saw Colorado in the '90s was a good team.
When I was playing, yeah,
it was a good. It was a good program.
Yeah.
As far as when it comes to Prime, I love what he does. He DM'd me the other day. We put out a video about all the stuff.
Name dropping Deion Sanders.
You know what I'm saying? You got to do his little something. Work kind of hard for it. It was hot out there standing on the sideline.
Yeah, I feel you.
He's trying to arrive now. Listen. Yeah. But no, he DM'd me the other day and he gave me props about the video I dropped about him, about everything he accomplished when he got there. That video was created. Maybe he was there for maybe 2 weeks when he did all of that stuff with all the different stuff with the social media and the money and the ticket sales. I could only imagine what he's done for Colorado now. But what he does on social media, which I'm big on marketing. I think everything is what you see.
Yeah.
Everything is what you show people, what they believe, what you make them believe in. And he does that twofold, right? What happens when he does win 3 games?
You're going to have your haters, but one of the greatest things I heard him say was on the pivot, when he was on with Ryan Clark and those guys, is that he's never needed the cheerleading of other people, and it's obvious in listening to him that he's called by a higher power. He has a connection with God, and that's his guide. So he's not going to really care about what the outside noise is. He's going to remain focused on what it is the team needs to do. And he also, I'm sure he understands that all of this is a process.
Yeah.
So winning 2 or 3 games, let's say that first year, is just part of the process. Next year, maybe you come back and you win 6 or 7.
Right.
And then in your 3rd year, because that's the timeline we're on now, maybe you start approaching double digits, or maybe you do get into that Pac-12 championship game if that's something they still have. It's just going to be a process, and you kind of want it to go like this and not start up here. Yeah. We've seen guys come in and win double-digit games, completely flip a program around. Well, what do you do after that? What are the fans going to accept after that? So
right.
He's getting things in place. He's definitely trying to change the attitude of players there. He's got a great quarterback, which happens to be his son.
Yeah.
But that schedule's tough. And and I'm sure he'll stay on task. He's not going to be bothered by outside noise. He's been hearing that all his life.
It's true, and I believe if you just stay the course, it's marketing, bro. Like it can happen over and over and over again. Teams come back every year, spring, new quarterback, fans get happy again.
Sure.
And so, but do you think the marketing machine he's created with his son and well off will be loud enough to scream against ESPN and these things when they start poking at him? Because they're not gonna play lightly with Deion.
Yeah,
they're not. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you do Deion, put Deion name on anything on the internet, bro, and it's out of here.
Right.
Talk Prime, Coach Prime, Deion, and the algorithm. He's killing it. Do you think he would be able to scream louder than them when they start putting up the stats? And then you got them fussing. You got Shannon, and you know what I'm saying?
Like, right. You know, when the snowball starts building up on.
Right.
You know what? That remains to be seen. I guess that'll be the biggest test for him as a coach that he's had. You know, because he had really good. I don't want to say, well, kind of instant success at JSU. He had instant success because he was able to do something that just hadn't been done there. What I will say is that at Colorado, they can afford to be patient there. There's not a ton of expectations. And based off of what you said, right? Remember what you said? They've only had 2 double-digit win seasons in the last 23 years. So who are they to act crazy if things aren't popping off right away? So perhaps that went into the decision. Like, I can build something here, and I'm not going to be faced with this immediate pressure. So if that noise starts to build up, I don't think Colorado's going to start pressuring him out the door, you know? He could just deal with it. Like I said, he's been dealing with noise all his life. He'll deal with it how he needs to deal with it, focus on what needs to happen on the field, and just continue to progress. And then who cares what the hell ESPN says, you know what I mean? Yeah, who cares what they're talking about, you know? They're going to do whatever they think gets them eyeballs, right? So if it's downing Deion, if that's getting them the numbers, then they'll just do that. They're kind of whores like that. And if boosting Deion or hyping him is what's getting the numbers, then that's what they do. Yeah, and you just got to understand it's a game. It's a business.
It is.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure he understands that. Whatever is going to get us numbers for now, that's what we're going to do. And just don't take it personally.
Right. You a coach. Have you ever been a head coach?
Little League.
Little League head coach. Okay.
Didn't want any parts of that.
But you've done some coaching. What Deion did at Jackson State 3 years, as far as recruiting, #1 HBCU recruiting class ever, turning that program around. He never won, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the season. But what you saw him do, how difficult do you think that was? And think about the landscape of what he was dealing with, you know what I'm saying, the budget, and then how difficult you think what he did was, because we seen the downplay. What the fuck we saw, Chad?
Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. And when you get a Travis Hunter to come to an HBCU, let alone Jackson State, that's very difficult. Now, his naysayers will say, well, you brought in the name, you had the name to come with it. Yeah, he could have just came in there with a name, but it's everything else that he did with it. It's just the aura he gave off, and then all the social media stuff. Which, you know, his son has been really helpful in doing that. But just the relentlessness, he has a winner's mindset. You know, I'm going to win, I'm going to accomplish, and even if he doesn't believe it, he'll speak that into existence. So the things he was able to accomplish, they're very difficult. And he might have made it look easy, but to bring in the kind of players that he brought in and to flip that program around without really resources is extremely difficult to do in college football. You have to have resources to flip stuff around. That's why we see some of these coaches that turn stuff around, pick jobs. I think they pick jobs based on what am I going to be working with?
Of course.
And he went there with nothing but his name.
Yeah, and you got people saying, well, he Deion Sanders. No, bro. No, I'm not writing off what I saw. Yeah, that's HBCU. It's been around forever. We've seen it down forever and been held down, you ask me. Yeah, for him to be the first black coach to be taken to D1, I mean, it's almost like it was 2 separate things.
Yeah, and it upset some people. That's how you know it was a good thing. So, I would never downplay that. That was extraordinary. And then you brought attention to HBCUs as a whole. that, I mean, like HBCU football was kind of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on life support. So he propped it back up. So for all those who may have been down on him for leaving Jackson State, focus on what he did.
Yeah. Now you see Eddie George getting into social media a little more. He's starting to pop up on my algorithm.
Right. Now, Eddie George is a famous football player, right?
Yes.
But from a marketing standpoint, not Deion Sanders.
It's not Deion.
You know what I mean? And so there goes a difference right there. It's not just because he had the name Deion Sanders.
It's not.
You know, you got to bring something with it. Maybe Eddie George is realizing that just having the name Eddie George is not going to be enough. I'm going to need to put myself out there.
Right. And that's what I see. And I told people that. They was like, well, Eddie George is not Deion, so he can't do what Deion do. I'm like, no, he's Eddie George.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's Eddie George. It may not look, he may not be as witty as Deion. He may not be as savvy as Deion.
And who is really? But Eddie George was getting into acting. So,
right.
So, you know, that being in front of the camera stuff is not foreign to him. And I think he's probably realized I need to tap into that some more. Yeah.
It will work for him too.
Yeah.
It will work for anybody. I'm here to tell y'all this about social media. It'll work for anybody with the balls to consistently give people content.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Deion Sanders, Eddie George. I don't care if you're Ned, Jed. I don't care if you're Jerry Beckwood from the.
A dude named Charleston White came out of nowhere and has been all over everything I open. Every app I open at social media, he's there. And just on appearance, you'd be like, why would why were you paying attention to this guy? But he's continued to pump out content, whether it's been his idea or the machine behind him or whatever the case may be, constantly there. You can't ignore the guy.
No, you can't. And he was kicked off of a lot of social media, so he just starts going on other social medias, other people's platforms.
Isn't that the cycle? You start off, nobody knows who you are. You start saying stuff. You everywhere. People love it, and then they want you out of the way. That's the normal cycle.
Right.
You just got to roll with it. And if you're consistent, you know, you can fight through all of the banning that goes on after that.
The NFL Combine just happened. And we had a question because we had a big guy go down at the Combine towards ACL running. Do you think big guys, is it a good idea to have big guys running the 40? And if you think it's a good idea, why?
Yes, I think it's a good idea to have big guys run the 40. What it's not a good idea is to tie their worth into that 40-yard dash. You know,
Okay.
I wouldn't focus as much on the times per se, unless a guy was just definitely slow. I want to see a big guy run 40 yards, though. That's going to give me an idea of his level of athleticism. You know, I know it's a straight line run, but there's some athleticism that you're evaluating and watching a guy run.
Uh-huh.
So, yes, I might not want my left tackle running 40 yards very often in a
Right.
game. I can't think of too many plays outside of a screen where he's going to be doing that. But I can see a guy's athleticism. So at left tackle, right tackle, at those tackle spots, you need an athlete.
Yeah.
You know, if you're asking me about defensive linemen, yes, absolutely. I want to see a defensive tackle run 40 yards because you might have to do that at some point. I want to see guys run and pursue down the field. I need to see that kind of stuff. So, yes, big men should run the 40. It's just how much you want to put into the evaluation of that 40.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to make it everything for an offensive lineman, but it's something. It's, you know, part of the puzzle.
Okay. I think they should be running the 40.
Yeah, run the 40 like everyone else. You know, it's a good TV show, good theater. Sometimes they fall down, all kind of crazy things happen. So we know the NFL is into that stuff. We were talking about social media and, you know, that kind of stuff. Sure. The NFL Combine is a television show now.
It is.
It is.
Because they invite other people to run it, and the people from outside, people not even damn athletes getting out there running the 40. And
it's on at night. When I was coming out, you didn't know what happened at the Combine. It was like Las Vegas.
I remember that.
Yeah, you didn't know. It's whatever happened at the Combine stayed at the Combine. Dudes that ran couldn't even get their own time. So now it's posted on a big digital right there. Everyone in America knows what you ran, and in parts of Canada know what your 40 time is. So.
All right, we got Kiana out here with us, man, the first lady I ever had on Footballville. Now, and real fast, I'm going to tell y'all real fast how I got Kiana out here. Doing the Trayvon Martin trial, a young lady took the stand, and she was actually from Miami, New Orleans, my alma mater. And she had a rough time talking. She was in high school. She had a rough time speaking and communicating what she wanted to say during the trial. And And I thought that, hey, listen, man, I think doing this, I see a lot of kids that have a rough time talking in front of a camera or mic, let alone the media right there in the courtroom with you. And I thought, hey, man, listen, most kids would clam up like that. I was talking to my girlfriend at the time. I was like, most kids would clam up like that. I think that's kind of normal. And my girlfriend looked at me and said, not my child. And I was like, what you mean? And she was like, no, I know my child wouldn't get up there and care who was sitting in there. She's going to speak. I was like, okay, so listen, all right then. If she's that good in front of a mic, I'm going to put her on Footballville. So I took her one day out the Bunch Park. She was maybe in the 9th grade. We got video of
Ninth grade, wow.
She was really young. Maybe she was really young. And I put a mic in her hand, and I told her what to say. And when I said go, she just lit up and started talking, and like she had done it for years. And so from that point, I just started taking her to the park with me and things. And she was like the first lady of Footballville, but it was something natural she was able to do.
Kiana might have been practicing for years in that room. You know, nobody knew. Yeah, she was low key doing it.
Yeah. No, I think she was like a talented kid. She was a kid to take over the talent show. He was tap dancing. So what you used to be doing, Kiana? Sing?
Everything, singing, dancing.
Yep.
Everything. But it's weird because it's just like, if you know me, I'm like really quiet. But it's like when I'm put on the spot, then it's like I'm doing what I do. But then right after that's done, it's like I'm back.
Go right back
quiet.
into the show. You know, she's that 1%.
Yeah,
most kids at that age, they are super worried about what people think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But listen, we got a question for Kiana. That only Kiana can answer. What are the 3 worst things that athletes could say to you in the club? Because you know these guys walk through with their ego, they have their chains, they have their entourage, and they think they can have it all. But what are the 3 worst things an athlete can say to you in the club?
For one, definitely is, do you know who I am, or anything of that nature? Because it's just like 9 times out of 10, I really don't know who you are. So it's just like
that sound like a commercial line.
Do you know who I am? Or like, you know, like, no, I don't be knowing who y'all are half the time. I really don't.
Man.
Do any of your homegirls like follow these things and know? Can be like, girl, that's Kevin.
But the thing about it is, it's just like when, at least my friends and I, when we go out, it's just like we just want to be with our girls, you know, like.
Yeah.
When the men be approaching us, we be like, no, we don't know who you are. Like, go over there. Like, you know.
You know, frankly, sometimes you get scared if they say, yeah, I know exactly. You should do that. Yeah, I know who you are.
I know exactly who you are.
But then if you start asking questions, then you're going to be like, nah, she don't know who I am. Yeah. I really don't be knowing who anybody is. I really don't.
I'm scared about them.
Like, at all.
I know who you are, and I saw what you did.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm going to try that one next time.
Yeah.
See what happens. See where that takes me.
Watch them cut through the crowd and get missing.
See? Oh, yeah. So that's a good one.
There you go.
I'm going to have to try to use that one then.
I know your girlfriend too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's a great one. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean,
sorry, fellas. My bad.
Yeah. What is going on over here? Steve Harvey, think like a man. What's going on?
My bad.
I would say another one would be, let's see. Oh, what are you doing after this? Like, what are you doing after the club? Because it's just like, I'm tired. It's probably like 2 a.m. after that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about all women, but after I go out, I'm ready to go home and go to sleep. So it's just like, if you ask me what I'm doing after the club, then you're trying to go somewhere else and then somewhere else after that. And then listen, I don't know. Listen. So I'm trying to go home after the club, not anything else.
9 times out of 10, your feet hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's another good, you know what? A question that I would want one of them to ask me is, like, do you want to come in my section? That's a good one.
Oh, I see.
It's like, I'm trying to get some
Let's be specific about it.
Oh, really? So that's what that's about?
Fellas, you got to change it into, well, what are you doing for the next 20?
Yeah, it's next 20 minutes. That's a good one. But the section, yeah. Drinks, of course, you know. And some of the rest of my feet, you know. Man. My feet be hurting after a while, after a few dances, you know. I'm ready to sit down.
So what's the last one? What's the last thing, worst thing somebody could say to you in the club?
I got to think on this one. Let's see. Last thing I wouldn't want. Well, let's speak in general. Because y'all are male, so athlete now, I guess. Combined. Because I really don't know athletes. I don't really watch, you know, sports like that to even know. But let's see. This is a hard one. Okay, so a third one is not really a question, but it's more of when, you know, dudes come to the other club and they be like, oh, like, do you like Chanel, or do you want this, do you want that? So, I don't know, like, to me, it's just like, you're trying to buy me. Like, I like.
That's a bad thing?
So,
I mean, just, you don't know anything about me and you're coming up to me talking about what you can do for me. Like, what if I had my own Chanel bag?
Right.
What if I bought my own Chanel?
She just wants you to lead with the drinks, though. Like,
yeah.
Let's not talk about handbags.
Okay, right.
Yeah, like just give me, you know.
Let's start with a mojito.
Yeah, a little margarita and a place to sit, and then we'll go from there. But if you're just coming up to me talking about what you could do for me, you know, it's kind of like
they didn't leap over all.
Listen, women, it's 2023. Women these days, you know, we could do for ourselves. So it's like,
oh boy,
let's start this. It might
I'm
be
just
another
saying,
different
I'm just
podcast.
saying.
I feel like a whole another 2-hour podcast.
I'm just saying. So it's just like when you come up to a female at the club, you know, you don't want to just be like, oh, do you like Chanel? Do you like Gucci? Because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, she probably has a Gucci bag on her or at home.
First of all, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But there you go, man. That's 3 ways to strike out, man, when you're in the club with the chicks.
Definitely.